$1.9 million, your first acquisition. The wire clears on a Tuesday. 3 auto repair shops, bought with one signature. You feel like a king for an hour. Then it goes wrong. You have 90 days. You are 33. You put in $190,000. Your house is on the loan. Your name is on a line that says personally liable. You think this is about buying a business. It is not. It is about who owns you now. 1 in 6 of these loans ends in default. Yours tries in 90 days. Nobody tells you the price before you pay it. You find out on a Friday. Level 1, Day 1. The lawyer slides a page across the table. There is a line near the bottom. Above it, small print. It says you are personally and individually liable. You sign it with a cheap blue pen, your name on the line. That is the whole thing. That is how you buy a business. The number is $1,900,000. 3 shops, bay doors, lifts, a fleet contract, a name the town knows. People bring their cars here without asking the price. That trust took 40 years to build. You are buying it in an afternoon. You do not have $1,900,000. Almost nobody does. So you do what everyone does. You borrow it. You bring $190,000, 10%, your whole savings minus a small cushion. The bank brings $1,520,000. The old owner, Dale, keeps a note for the last $190,000. He shakes your hand. He calls it a good little business. He has told himself that for 20 years. You believe him. You want to. Belief is cheaper than diligence, and you are already out of money. The bank loan costs you a little over $21,000 a month. Call it $256,000 a year. That money leaves before you pay a single mechanic. Every month. Good weeks and bad ones. The loan does not care about your weeks. They showed you earnings of $475,000 a year. So you divide. $475,000 over $256,000. That is 1.85. The bank calls it coverage. Above 1, you live. Below 1, you do not. At 1.85, you felt safe. You had margin. You had a spreadsheet that loved you. Day 1, you get the keys, a heavy ring of them, 12 keys for 3 shops. You do not know what half of them open. You open the first shop yourself. The roll-up door goes up at 7. It sticks halfway, then jumps. Cold air, old oil, coffee someone already made, a radio playing low. Men you have known a week nod at you. The owner. That is your name now. You feel like a king for about an hour. Then your phone buzzes. It is the bank. Welcome, they say. Your first payment posts in 30 days. Have a great day. You did not buy a business. You bought a countdown. And you do not know it yet. But the most valuable thing in all 3 shops just decided to leave. Level 2, Day 12. His name is Ray. He is the master technician at the main shop. Gray, quiet, careful. He has been under these hoods for 22 years. There is a diesel job nobody else can do. There is a transmission the young guys will not touch. Ray touches it. He fixes it by lunch. The fleet customers do not trust the shop. They trust Ray. They call and ask for him by name. When their trucks are down, they lose money by the hour. So they wait for one man. And that one man is not on any page you signed. On day 12, he knocks on the office door. He has a folded paper in his hand. He does not sit down. He says he is retiring. He says it gently. Then he says the part that stops your breath. He says Dale knew. He says it was always the plan. You did not know. It was not in the spreadsheet. It was not in the contract. A man who is half the reason people come here. And he was never a line item. You ask him to stay. You offer him more money. He shakes his head. He is tired. He has a boat and a bad back and a wife who wants him home. He is not being cruel. He is just leaving. The good ones always could. You watch him roll his toolbox out the bay door. It takes 2 trips. Red steel, taller than him, heavy with 40 years of tools. 22 years, on wheels, across a wet lot. He nods once and drives off. The other mechanics watch too. Nobody says anything. The radio keeps playing. They are doing math in their heads. The same math you are doing. Who fixes the hard jobs now? Who do the fleet trucks ask for tomorrow? That night, you open the app that shows the bank balance. You look at the line you signed. Personally and individually liable. It did not mean much on day one. It is starting to mean something now. You still think this is a staffing problem. One man. You will hire another. You do not know it yet. Ray was not a man. Ray was the number under every other number. Level 3, day 40. You wanted to understand your own business. On day 40, you finally do. It is the worst day of your life. You are going through the books. Not the ones they showed you, the real ones. And you find the hole. It was always there. You just paid to see it. Remember the $475,000 of earnings, the number that made your coverage 1.85. You start pulling it apart, line by line, and $175,000 of it is not real. There is a boat run through the business. There is a truck that hauls nothing but Dale's trailer. There is a wife on payroll who never came in. There is a one-time engine rebuild, listed as one time, that happens every single year. There is rent Dale paid himself, to himself, cheap. The next landlord will not be so kind. You add up the lies. They are not even hidden. You just never subtracted them. Strip it out. The honest number is not $475,000. It is $300,000. So you divide again. $300,000 over $256,000. That is 1.17, not 1.85. You did not buy a business with margin. You bought one with barely a breath. And you paid the price of the fat number for the thin one. And it gets worse while you sit there. The fleet contract. 40% of the work. It came with Ray. It called for Ray. You should have seen it. It was one customer, not many. One handshake, not a moat. 2 days later, a manager calls. He is polite. He asks if Ray is still there. You say no. There is a pause on the line. Then he says they are moving their trucks to a shop across town. 30 days notice. Nothing personal. It is only business. It is always only business. You do the math one more time. Lose that work and your earnings fall toward $210,000. Divide. $210,000 over $256,000. That is 0.82. Below 1. The business now earns less than the loan it owes. You sit in Dale's old chair. It is worn smooth where his arms rested. The roll-up doors are up. The lifts are humming. A customer laughs out in the lot. From the outside, it looks like a going concern. It looks like a good little business. You are the only one who knows it is not. You wanted to understand your business. Now you do. Understanding it is the thing that breaks you. On day 1, you had a spreadsheet that loved you. On day 40, you have the truth, and it does not love anyone. You do not know it yet. The gap between 0.82 and 1 has a name. It is called Friday. Level 4, day 61. Coverage below 1 is not a spreadsheet cell. It is a real hole, and real money falls into it every week. The business is short. Every week it is short. Parts cost more than the tickets bring in, so you cover the gap yourself. From that small cushion you kept, the one you were not going to touch. You touch it on a Monday. $6,000 for parts you already used. Then again the next Monday. $4,000 to make a supplier go away. Then you stop counting Mondays. They blur into one long Monday that never ends. You look for the working capital you were promised. Every deal like this leaves cash in the business to run it. It is the fuel in the tank when you take the wheel. Dale was supposed to leave about $150,000 in the tank. You go to the tank. There is $40,000 in it, and a pile of invoices 90 days old that nobody has paid. Money you are owed that you cannot spend from customers who are in no hurry. He swept it, legally, quietly, on the way out. It was in the fine print you did not read closely. The same page, the same line, your name on it. Now you read that line again. Personally and individually liable. You finally understand what it means. It does not mean the business owes the money. It means you do. There is no wall between the shop and your house. You are the wall. You stop sleeping well. You open the bank app in the dark. 2 in the morning, 3. The number never got better while you slept. You knew it would not. You looked anyway. You do the thing everyone does at this level. You check it like a wound. Your wife asks if everything is fine. You say it is fine. That is the first real lie. It will not be the last. Your cushion is almost gone. You brought $190,000 into this. Most of it went to the down payment. The rest is bleeding out, one Monday at a time. You are funding a business that no longer funds you. You still think you can outwork it. Longer hours, cheaper parts. You do not know it yet. You are 28 days from a Friday you cannot cover. Level 5, day 89. Payroll runs every other Friday. The mechanics get paid at 9 in the morning. On day 89, payroll is $47,000. You open the account. It holds $9,000. You read the two numbers again. $47,000 owed, $9,000 there. You need $38,000 by 9 tomorrow. You do not have it. Your card is near its limit. Your cushion is a rumor. The tank is dry. This is the moment nobody films. Not the wire, not the keys. This one, sitting alone in the office after dark, doing subtraction that only goes one way. The radio is off now. It is very quiet. You can hear the clock. You think about the men, the one with the new baby, the one saving for a truck, the one who has been here 19 years. If those men do not get paid, they leave by lunch. If they leave, the shops close. If the shops close, the loan calls. And the loan is your house. You think about walking away. You cannot. Your name is on the line. So you do the only thing left. You start making calls to the people you owe, and you ask them to wait. You call Dale first, the man who sold you the hole. It is the hardest call of your life. You tell him the truth. He is quiet a long time. Then he does something you did not expect. He defers his note. 12 months. Puts it on standby. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe because a dead deal pays him nothing. It saves you a payment. It is not enough. You call a factoring company next. They buy your invoices for cash today. Those 90-day invoices, the money you were owed and could not touch. They advance you 80%. 80% of $120,000 is $96,000. Cash, tomorrow, into the account. They keep a fat fee for the favor. Every month you use them, they keep more. It is expensive money. It is the only money there is. You take it. You have no pride left to spend. Then you do the thing you swore you would never do. You take a line against the house. $80,000. More of your home, onto the fire, to keep the doors up. Your family does not fully know. You sign again. The same cheap kind of pen. Payroll clears at 9. The men get paid. Nobody knows how close it was. That is the job now. Knowing how close it was and saying nothing. You survive the Friday. But survival costs you the third shop. You sell it in a hurry, for less than it is worth, to a competitor who smells blood. He offers you a low number. You take it, because a low number now beats a fair number never. The keys leave your ring. 12 became 8. 3 became 2. You do not know it yet. 2 is the number you keep. Level 6. 1 year later. The roll-up door still goes up at 7. You open it yourself. You are the one under the hoods now. You learn to do Ray's job, badly at first, then well enough. Your hands are stained in a way they were not before. 2 shops. Coverage back to about 1.05. Barely alive, but alive. You did not win. You held on. There is a difference, and only you know it. You are a different owner than the one who signed. Quieter. You read every line now. You trust every number less. You still open the bank app in the dark sometimes. Old habit. The wound closed. The reflex did not. And here is the part that took you a year to see. Through all of it, one player never sweated a single Friday. The bank. Look at how it was built. The bank lent $1,520,000, but the government guaranteed 75% of it. 75% of $1,520,000 is $1,140,000. If you had gone under, Washington would have wired that to the bank. Public money into a private lender the day you failed. The other $380,000 was covered by the lien on your house, where your kids sleep. That was the last piece of the puzzle. Whatever happened to you, the bank came out whole. You could win. You could lose. It did not matter to them. Every version of the story ends the same for them. You thought you were the borrower. You were not. You were the collateral. The whole structure was built so that your risk protects their money. You did not take a loan. You became one. Think back to day one, the lawyer, the cheap blue pen, the line that said personally and individually liable. You thought you were signing to own something. You were signing to be owned. That line was never about the shops. It was about you.
You wanted to buy a business. What you bought was the right to stand between the bank and the loss. And the strange thing is, you would sign it again. You know that now. That is the part that frightens you. Because the door still goes up at 7. Because the coffee is already made. Because your name is over the door and your name is on the line. And somehow, those are the same thing. Because it is yours now, all the weight of it. And weight is the only proof you ever have that a thing is real. Somewhere right now, someone is signing a page they did not read closely. A cheap blue pen, a line near the bottom. They feel like a king for an hour. They do not know yet what it costs. They will. They always do. The wire clears. The door goes up. The machine does not stop. It just finds the next name for the line. Watch this if you want to see the version where the money is already there and the fall still comes. You inherit $100 million at 24 and go broke by 27.